If you want to learn how to draw portraits, go to portraitartacademy.com. The link is right here below the video in the description. Just click on it.
As we observe the progress of people throughout history, we see the rise and fall of empires, nations, and cultures. One such influence on our ways of life was the Roman Empire.
What's so interesting about that time period is the rise of Christianity. In a nutshell, the controversy about this religion was that emperors such as Nero persecuted the Christians. Romans heavily opposed them, arrested them, and murdered them by throwing them in the lion's den in the Colosseum. That was a brutal way to end your life. But what caught many people by surprise was that Emperor Constantine in the 4th century converted to Christianity and set the stage, if you will, for centuries to come.
Christianity became divided. The Roman Catholic Church in the west and the Orthodox Church in the east. These events helped mark the beginning of the Middle Ages, a medieval time period in which, according to many scholars, progress had stopped and society had, for the first time known to mankind, deteriorated.
Man and womankind.
Ah, yes, I forgot. Womankind as well. Sorry.
Well, what do you expect if a bunch of barbarians take over Europe? Of course, they don't help us progress. Just a bunch of hunters, shooters, gatherers, and no sense of direction or science. No democratic system, no constitution, just a whole bunch of crazy people. Can you believe that?
Iconic arts during that time mainly consisted of portrayals of the Holy Madonna, a name given to what the Catholics consider the Holy Virgin Mary, or Jesus' mother.
Art back then had to reflect something important. People's life expectancy was short, like 25 or 40 years. This was due to the plague that swept through Europe several times. Diseases, malnutrition, a lack of hygiene, wars between the kingdoms, and other factors, etc., etc., etc. So both boys and girls would often get married between the ages of 12 and 15 at that time. In royal families, passing on their genes through the birth of a son was crucial. It shouldn't have mattered whether it was a son or a daughter. If it was a daughter, then couldn't she have taken over the kingdom? Oh, there were ruling queens too. They were ruling queens. But it was more common for a son to rule in his father's stead as a king. They worship a holy virgin, but they don't want a woman as a ruler? I don't like that. Yeah, like it or not, that's what happened. Anyway, before I get interrupted again, the point was that they valued the afterlife like no other time before. So their depictions were often a form of worship, since that is what they valued most, and those things mattered most to them.
Not only in leaded glass and mosaics, but also in their structures we see a high religious narrative. In the early Dark Ages, Romanesque cathedrals were the norm. The arches and columns were somewhat derived from Roman patterns. Later, that style became twisted into what we call Gothic. The arches became sharper and other differences became more evident. Clear glass was replaced by leaded glass, and gargoyles were added to the mix to fend off demons. In the 13th century, the term fresco was coined, meaning a painting done rapidly in watercolor on wet plaster on a wall or ceiling, so that the colors penetrate the plaster and become fixed as it dries.
It should be noted that this transition didn't happen all at once. We're talking about centuries of development. But looking back, we can see that the style was really changing. Yeah, it really was. Another thing that should be noted is that they didn't know how to draw in perspective. Yeah, well, I don't think they cared as much about perspective as much to put every image they wanted to portray in the limited space that each painting had. You know, they're only so big. Still pretty messed up, man. It's just wrong.
Famous examples of Gothic architecture and the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, then built by the Christians in what was called Constantinople, the Notre Dame in Paris, and the catacombs in Rome, prepared for the burial of Catholic saints.
Ugh, creepy. Oh, come on. If I see a zombie in there, I'll shoot it with my gun. Make sure to double tap.
At the same time, writing techniques were there to enlighten anyone capable of speaking Latin, and the monks dedicated hours of their life to calligraphic art in books, one of those books being the well-known Lindisfarne Gospels.
Sticker.
Hey, I was thinking, what are you going to do with all these stickers? Nothing? Okay, that's okay. They're still fun, huh?